This recipe combines hearty mushrooms, a rich creamy sauce, and tender browned gnocchi, a perfect meatless meal for any night of the week. Now we're gonna start with our mushrooms. I have a pound of cremini mushrooms here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just trim the edge and quarter them, just like so. I know this is gonna be controversial, but I just wanna bring up that we at America's Test Kitchen have proved that when it comes to cleaning your mushrooms, you can submerge them in water to clean them. A lot of people think that mushrooms are quite porous, so you automatically assume that they'll just absorb all the moisture, but as it turns out, you can wash your mushrooms underwater. But if you are adverse to that, another thing that you could do is use a brush and just brush any excess dirt off, or use a damp paper towel. And when it comes to cooking a meatless meal, mushrooms are always a go-to because number one, you're gonna have something to sink your teeth into. And number two, they have all the umami in there, so it's gonna provide so much flavor. For this recipe too, I am using cremini mushrooms, but you could use white button mushrooms if you had that. Shiitakes could probably be fine, maybe even oysters. They all have really nice different textures. Okay, clean this up here. Okay, now I'm just going to mince a couple cloves of garlic. Okay, I'm gonna build the cream sauce directly in this bowl. And I've got some vegetable broth here because we are, looking for a meatless meal right now. And I'm gonna add a little bit of cream. And I've got a good amount of Parmesan cheese, which is gonna help two ways. It's gonna help to thicken the sauce and give it that really silky texture, but it's also gonna provide a ton of flavor and more umami. Then I'm gonna add 1/8 teaspoon of some nutmeg here. And finally, some pepper. And if you notice, these are your usual suspects for a typical cream sauce, but it's definitely an atypical way of making one. It's much easier. All right, I'm gonna give this a whisk and then head over to the stove. Okay, so the first step is we are gonna brown our gnocchi. So I'm gonna heat the skillet over medium-high heat, and I'm gonna add a couple tablespoons of butter. We're gonna use butter throughout the whole recipe here, but butter obviously is just gonna give it so much richness, a ton of extra flavor, and just help with the browning overall. I have 1 pound of gnocchi. This is the vacuum packed gnocchi. It's shelf stable, so it's something you can keep in your pantry all the time. It's a really good ingredient to have on hand. You also could use frozen gnocchi or refrigerated gnocchi for this recipe. So the butter is melted. I'm gonna add the gnocchi directly into the butter. All right, and now I'm gonna cook this for about 5 minutes until nice and golden brown, stirring occasionally. Okay, these look really beautiful. They are lightly browned. Just gonna set these aside over here. And I'm gonna melt 1 more tablespoon of butter over medium-high heat. And now I'm gonna add the mushrooms. And these are gonna cook with a little bit of salt for 10 minutes. And the salt is gonna help to pull out the moisture from the mushrooms. And that's gonna help to promote some browning and get them really, really tender. I'm gonna let these go for 10 minutes until golden brown. I'm gonna add the garlic, and I'm gonna cook this until fragrant, about 30 seconds. Oh my goodness, this is like smelling amazing. And while that's cooking, I'm just gonna give our cream sauce a little bit of a whisk, just to incorporate the cheese and the pepper and that nutmeg. All right, so now I'm gonna add this to the skillet. All right, so that's in there. Now I'm gonna add the gnocchi. Again, the gnocchi's not fully cooked right now. We just lightly browned it just to kind of set the exterior and keep the interior nice and tender. So this is gonna cook all together. First, I'm gonna bring it to a simmer. And once it's at a simmer, I'm gonna cook for an additional 5 to 7 minutes until the gnocchi are tender and the sauce is slightly thickened. And that's it. I mean, this is the rest of the recipe. That's how quick this comes together. Whoa. First of all, you'd never know that this was a meatless meal. I mean, it's not skimping on richness, flavor, anything like that. Wow, this looks so good. Cheese, mushrooms, gnocchi, you can't go wrong. Cream. All right, I'm gonna add some basil to the top. I love torn basil. I think it just adds a little bit of elegance, and I think it just looks beautiful and gives you a little bit more substantial basil bite. Yum. You can tell that cheese really helped to make that sauce super creamy and silky, and also helped to thicken it, but not too thick. This is some good stuff. All right, I'm going for a mushroom first. It's so full of that earthy mushroom flavor. The cream the cream, you know, and the basil just finishes it off. So this may have come together quickly, but it's got a ton of rich mushroom flavor.